Have you ever wondered what led to the crisis in Jammu and Kashmir in 1947? Let's take a journey back to a time of great turmoil and change. In August 1947, the end of paramountcy marked the beginning of a crisis in Jammu and Kashmir. This period was characterized by escalating communal tension and constitutional uncertainty that threw the region into a state of disarray. The Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir found himself in a bewildering situation. Amid the rising social unrest, he reluctantly released Sheikh Abdullah from prison. However, the Maharaja stopped short of granting official authority to Abdullah, leaving the political landscape in a state of flux. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mahajan was confident that the Dogra troops would swiftly quell any disturbances. However, this optimism was tragically misplaced. The region was soon engulfed in violence, leading to the loss of thousands of lives and the destruction of towns. The fabric of society was rapidly unraveling, and peace seemed like a distant dream. Simultaneously, the Indian government, under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, urged the Maharaja to transfer power to Sheikh Abdullah, hoping that a change in leadership could restore stability. But the Maharaja's reluctance to relinquish power only added to the prevailing confusion and unrest. In the midst of this internal turmoil, external factors further exacerbated the crisis. Efforts to negotiate with Pakistan failed, deepening the sense of despair. As Pakistan launched its invasion, the crisis reached a boiling point, marking a significant escalation in the conflict. Throughout this period, rumors were rampant, fueling the fire of communal tension. The situation was spiraling out of control, and the region was on the brink of a full-blown crisis. The stage was set for a series of events that would forever change the course of history in Jammu and Kashmir. Despite Mahajan's assurances, the situation spiraled out of control, leading to the loss of thousands of lives and the destruction of towns. This was just the beginning of a long and complex conflict that would shape the future of Jammu and Kashmir. As if the internal crisis wasn't enough, Jammu and Kashmir faced an external threat. The civil administration in Srinagar collapsed under the weight of the crisis, sending ripples of panic across the city. In the chaos, the Maharaja, the region's ruler, was forced to flee to Jammu, leaving his kingdom in a state of uncertainty. But the citizens of Srinagar were not ready to give up without a fight. The National Conference, a political party led by Sheikh Abdullah, rallied its members to defend against the invaders. Ordinary citizens became warriors, armed with a mix of rifles, shotguns, and even hockey sticks. Their bravery boosted morale and restored a semblance of normalcy amid the chaos. But the external threat was far from over. Tribal invaders from the west set their sights on Kashmir, breaching the region's borders and amplifying the crisis. In this dire situation, the Maharaja turned to India for assistance. His urgent plea for troops reached India on October 24th. However, sending assistance was a logistical challenge. The distance, lack of preparedness, and the condition of Srinagar's airstrip posed significant hurdles. Meanwhile, India was closely monitoring the situation. VP Menon, a trusted advisor to the Indian government, conducted a detailed assessment of the situation. His findings confirmed the imminent threat, prompting the Maharaja to flee and leaving the fate of Jammu and Kashmir hanging in the balance. The Indian cabinet decided to send troops only after Jammu and Kashmir formally acceded to India. The instrument of accession, a legal document that would make Jammu and Kashmir a part of India, was obtained from the Maharaja on October 26. Despite the hurdles and the distance, India had to respond swiftly to the imminent threat. The struggle for Jammu and Kashmir took a decisive turn in late October 1947. As the crisis deepened and the invasion progressed, a key figure emerged in the form of VP Menon, Secretary of the State's Department. Menon was tasked with the critical mission of obtaining the instrument of accession from the Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir, a document that would legally bind the region to India. With a keen understanding of the political landscape and a knack for negotiation, Menon successfully persuaded the Maharaja to sign the Instrument of Accession on October 26, 1947. This monumental event signified a critical juncture in the history of Jammu and Kashmir. The region was now legally part of India. This decision was not merely a political maneuver but a strategic move to counter the invasion. With Jammu and Kashmir as part of India, the Indian government could now send troops and provide the necessary support to the region without infringing on international norms. However, this decision was not met with universal acceptance. Pakistan, which had already launched an invasion of the region, reacted furiously. The response from Pakistan's leader, Jinnah, was swift and decisive. He ordered his troops to seize key areas of Kashmir, a move that would escalate the conflict and further destabilize the region. However, this order was quickly revoked. Auchinleck, the then British Commander-in-Chief in India, intervened, clarifying the legality of India's actions. He warned of the severe consequences for British officers in the Pakistan Army if they continued their aggression. The accession of Jammu and Kashmir to India was a pivotal moment in the region's history. It marked a new chapter in the struggle for control and set the stage for a protracted conflict that would span decades. The decision was a strategic victory for India, but it also laid the groundwork for an enduring dispute. Despite the legality of India's actions, the conflict was far from over. With Kashmir formerly part of India, the country had to move swiftly to defend it. Faced with the task of organizing a rapid defense, Brigadier Kalwant Singh stepped up to the plate. He selected the 1st Sikh Battalion, under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Dewan Ranjit Rai, to form the front line of the defense. The operation instructions were clear and direct. The battalion was to be flown to Srinagar at the earliest. Following this, a brigade group was to be moved to Jammu. This was a calculated move, designed to provide a strong defensive front against the invaders. The troops that were called up for this operation were a mix of different units. They included tactical headquarters, a company from the 1st Sikh Regiment, and a composite company from the Royal Indian Army. This diverse mix of troops was necessary to mount a strong and effective defense against the invaders. The logistics of this operation were a massive undertaking. Flights had to be arranged for October 27th, just a day after the official accession. These included 6 Dakotas carrying civilians, 3 Dakotas belonging to the Royal Indian Air Force, 8 more Dakotas from the Royal Indian Air Force, and a final 11 Dakotas from the same force. The sheer number of flights arranged highlights the urgency and scale of the operation. Each flight was self-contained, meaning that they were fully equipped and ready for immediate action upon landing. This was critical to ensure that the troops could quickly respond to any threats or challenges they faced upon landing in Kashmir. But what if things didn't go according to plan? Well, a contingency was in place. If the situation in Srinagar proved too volatile or dangerous, the flights were to be diverted to Jammu. This backup plan was essential to ensure the safety of the troops and to maintain the strength of the defensive front. In conclusion, the defense of Kashmir was a monumental task that required meticulous planning, a diverse mix of troops, and a clear contingency plan. Each flight was self-contained for immediate action upon landing, with a backup plan to divert to Jammu if needed. The defense of Kashmir was a testament to India's commitment to protect its newly acceded territory. The crisis in Jammu and Kashmir was a turning point in the history of the region. The aftermath of the invasion and the subsequent accession of the state to India were fraught with consequences. The people of Jammu and Kashmir found themselves in the eye of a storm that had been brewing for a long time. They had witnessed the collapse of civil administration, the flight of their Maharaja, and the invasion of their homeland. But they had also seen the resilience and the courage of their own in the face of adversity. The Indian government too had its share of challenges. From urging the Maharaja to transfer power to Sheikh Abdullah, to negotiating with Pakistan, to finally sending troops to quell the unrest, each decision was a tightrope walk. The accession of Jammu and Kashmir to India was not the end, but rather the beginning of a long and arduous journey. Internationally, the crisis in Jammu and Kashmir had far-reaching implications. The legality of India's actions was questioned, and the role of British officers in the Pakistan army came under scrutiny. Yet, the world also witnessed the resolve of a newly independent nation ready to defend its people and its sovereignty. The impact of the crisis was not confined to the borders of Jammu and Kashmir. It echoed across the subcontinent, shaping the course of India-Pakistan relations for decades to come. The events of 1947 are not just a chapter in history, but a living narrative that continues to influence the geopolitics of the region. While the immediate crisis was averted, the events of 1947 set the stage for the ongoing conflict over Jammu and Kashmir. They serve as a stark reminder of the complexities involved in the quest for peace and the resilience of a people determined to protect their homeland.